how to find the right fit, how to find a school that values you as a human and not just the stats line. Well, you think that you have to be in California to play good beach volleyball? Well, Boise State head coach Alex Venardos is building a legacy at Idaho. In this episode, we talk about vision training, we talk about how character trumps talent every single time, and how to find the right fit in terms of school. This episode is a masterclass for you guys who are still looking for the right fit. So let's go. Hi.
Hello.
Hello, Alex. Thank you for taking the time. There's so many questions I have. And before I will dive into this whole thing, I have to ask you, tell me the story of building the beach volleyball court in your backyard. I mean, I bet I'm not the first one who's asking this, but I am so curious how this all come about.
It actually went way more viral than I thought it would. I've been to a lot of home courts, like in the U.S., a lot in the Northwest, and aside from our 3 courts at Boise State, there really wasn't a great spot to play in the area. And so I went house hunting with the primary focus of finding a plot of land that had enough space for a beach court. So found the spot and kind of broke ground that first couple months I was living there. And the main goal was just to create a space where the community could come together. I grew up in SoCal, and everybody had their streets and their specific courts and multi-generational volleyball communities. And so trying to help facilitate that. And it was a long time coming. Like everything went over budget compared to what I thought it would be. And getting dirt removed was really hard. But it gave me a sense of learning what delayed gratification felt like and kind of committing to a long-term vision. And I think it's really paid off, but kind of selfishly motivated. And I wanted to be the person to provide it, but just kind of looked around and realized there wasn't enough that happened in an area to begin with.
You sound like such a trailblazer. I mean, so one step back, did you pick a house based on the space that was available to build a court, or how those two things came about? Yeah.
Just a lot. I'm really low maintenance when it comes to accommodations. So my house is about 770 square feet, and that was a lot bigger than I wanted. I wanted like a shipping container, tiny home. The realtor, I think, slowly came to realize like I really didn't care much about that house. It just needed to be a big enough yard. So she showed me places that were great, but maybe the dimensions weren't quite right in the backyard. And I was like, yeah, it's not it. That's not it. So, but the one issue with this house is the court had to face east-west. So during the summer, there's one clear good side, and then the bad side you get blasted in the face with the sun. But everything else, it was kind of a perfect space. There's a big entrance. It came with a covered deck, and then we put in a concrete patio and redid a bunch of the gravel. And so there's seating for about 30 people, and a lot of force tournaments, ace tournaments, stuff like that I try to run regularly.
Wow. So you are really, I mean, I read somewhere that you did for beach volleyball and for the community there more than anyone else in the long history of sports there. So props to you. That's an amazing thing. By the way, congratulations on becoming a head coach.
Thank you.
That's a big thing. And I want to hear, and I would like to hear, and I would like athletes and coaches to hear, and parents to hear all about it, because one part on this journey is choosing the college, but the other part, and I think it's very underestimated in athletes and parents' eyes, is choosing the coach, because it's not a 4-year decision. It's almost a 40-year-old decision, right? So 40-year decision, because you as a coach or whoever that is going to affect that person's growth and perspectives on challenges and whatever that is, more than anybody else at that period. So this is going to be very important to understand who they are choosing as being their mentor or a guide for the next four years. So congratulations on becoming a head coach. Now, so you run tournaments there, and do you like rent it for public, or is it open for public to just come and play?
It's I sometimes would charge for like food and drinks when I would have full day events for friends, but it's first come first serve. People, I just say, reach out if it's not being used. You're welcome to have at it. So people train there, play there, have friends over. Had some people like throw their own birthday parties there when I'm out of town or something. So yeah, I ran juniors and adult programming out of the Boise State courts. I started a club called Idaho Beach. So from kind of when we wrapped up with Boise State in early May to when school got going in August, I was doing juniors tournaments and practices and adult leagues and tournaments. And I felt really guilty that I was kind of gatekeeping the access to the beach courts because we were booking it so much at Boise State, renting them and charging people to play and stuff. So that was another reason I wanted to create another space, was people that were really into the sport and wanted to put more time into it. I felt like I was taking away opportunity for them to really sink their teeth into it. So yeah, pretty much free access open to the community at my house. But I actually stopped running the beach club this year because there's an indoor club that put 3 indoor sand courts in the valley. They're going to run year-round programming now for juniors. And I was just kind of a placeholder trying to get it up and running. I don't have the time or the passion to like compete with another club in the area. I don't think that's necessary. So yeah, I kind of passed that baton on, and it's in good hands. And now I just get to sit back and help support from afar.
That's fabulous. Congratulations again. Did you do you have any affiliation with the club? Are you helping them with strategies or tactics or something, or are they running strictly on their own?
Some. So I had a alum from Boise State that helped me with my club. She's been their primary beach director this past year, and I've kind of been like a consultant, just helping advise with how important good sand is, and mentions and requirements, and kind of connecting the club with all the resources through the country that I've come to know with Boise State, and then building my own court. So I think when the time comes and they really start trying to form teams and travel, I'll probably help connect them with clubs and create a network for them to compete, because it can be kind of daunting in an area like this to take that big step. But I don't think I have the bandwidth to really coach seriously or do much more than that. Boise State has it's a lot on my plate already, so try to support the nothing firm.
I see. Well, it sounds like there is the beach volleyball is on the rise in Idaho, on the very unlikely location from across the states. So tell me, back to your team, back to your culture, back to your philosophy. How do you? And this is going to be a question that I did not put there, but I'm really interested in, how do you define success before this upcoming season? You've been there for 3 years as an assistant. You starting it pretty much all from the ground, and now as a head coach. So how do you define success? Your last season, you guys were doing really well, and so what is it now? What's your goal in front of this season?
We have some, I guess, like short-term goals as a program, and some big-term goals that we just chipped away at. We're no longer in the Southland Conference, so before that was a pretty easy goal. We were in it for 3 years, always battling in the finals, and so we were familiar with what that looked like. This year, I think the kind of short-term goals are to officially break in and be a ranked team. I think we just have to schedule consistently hard, and we didn't schedule consistently hard enough in the past to demonstrate that. So proving that we're a top 20 team week in and week out, and then making sure that we're in contention for an at-large bid, which kind of plays into the scheduling piece. Our path to the national tournament before was easily defined as just winning the Southland Championship, and it came down to pretty much one game every year. And now that we're in the Big 12, I think it's actually a bit like liberating, and it's a weight that's lifted, and that we can kind of put our head down and try to provide a whole body of work versus just have all this pent up expectations on one match at the end of the season. So yeah, the success this year, I think, will be just in terms of maintaining consistency and really getting 1% better each day in each competition. Not putting too lofty of goals on things, and just coming up for air at the end of spring and seeing whether we provided the body of work that was needed.
That on its own brings a lot of questions from my side. So how differently are you approaching it? Did you approach your recruiting differently for this season, or is your work in terms of team chemistry or team bonding or even strategy or technical skills different, knowing that you are essentially stepping up level of your performance and game? So how did you approach this? What is it in for you? And you can name short-term goals, and you can also mention some of those long-term goals. What are you trying to build at Boise? What you want your legacy to be?
I think the recruiting, I don't think has changed much, primarily because we were always trying to be extremely dominant in the Southland Conference, not just compete for it. And we've always tried to bring in people that are better than the class prior. I think as we're going into a tougher conference with the Big 12, it's unrealistic to immediately jump 3 or 4 notches. I think our success long term as a program has come from doing things really organically, and not getting too far ahead of ourselves. So we've never really looked at the transfer portal as an answer for our roster needs. And we're always looking at high school recruits. Now we're starting to have conversations with more competitive recruits. It's not that all of a sudden we are getting the best kid in the country just because we're somewhere else. So I think we're kind of par for the course year after year, making small gains with recruiting and how we message and who we bring in. And I think that's going to pay off in the long run. But training wise, we really prioritized a lot with service, pace, and variety, and vision decision making as attackers. I think we've been able to get by with athleticism in the past, and I think we're at a point where the athleticism needs to really be polished and refined. And serving is just something that, man, until you like go through a spring season, you don't realize what great serving feels like as on the receiving end of it, until you like play against a mediocre serving team, and then you play against, last year it was TCU. Like it's just so clear when we walked away from that match what they were able to do from the service line. And I think if we want to really come out and make an impact in games against top teams, we need to be a big threat. So we have radar guns. We're talking about alleys and starting points and how serves connect passers' routes to their attacking decisions, and really diving into that so that the girls have an understanding of the why behind the line and aren't just going in blind. I guess those 2 buckets, but what am I missing there?
But hold on. Sorry for stopping you. You mentioned so many interesting things that at the high school level or even middle school level, and I'm sure that those are things that are not really discussed. The girls come with some sort of awareness of, okay, defense, offense, setting, simple things, blocking, but these philosophies are not, or even focus, just like you mentioned, on serving and all the things that come with that. It's not very often discussed, and coaches or club coaches might not have time for that. But at least if you can explore a little bit, if there is anything else outside of serving that you are working on, or that you're going to put emphasis on, that can help you, let's say, affect the game and put pressure on the opponent without necessarily having to put hours and strategy and individual skills. You said that you guys were relying on athleticism, but tell me, what will be yours? And I know this is hard for a coach to mention that, but give me another, if you can, another parts of the secret sauce that you are bringing in outside of serving. Is there anything else that you will so focusedly work on?
Yeah. I glossed over it, but vision decisions is the big thing for us. We spend time in every warm-up and in every practice working on court checks and peripheral vision, and sort of breaking down what we're looking at and what's available because of that, at a pretty microscopic level. And stacking a lot of concepts. So we're trying to equip the girls with all the tools they need to isolate a blocker that has a presence at the net, and what kind of tools from where they pass to what they run to where they attack to capitalize on the blocker's gifts. If it's a pull heavy blocker, what can we look for? How can we set up our attack to see things clearly, and then capitalize on those? If there's a defender that's just reading us like a book, how can we see them and play with our shoulder line as attackers to free things up? Vision and understanding the court on the other side is like, and probably the biggest focus above serving, because in terms of like athleticism getting us by, a big part has been just recruiting raw players that are physical. And I think a lot of the physical players this year are like coming to terms with the fact that they never really had a reason for why they were attacking certain things. They're too dependent on setters' calls or predetermined on shot selection and all that. And so trying to give the players all the tools that they need to, in the moment, really assess what's happening on the other side of the net, what's working, what's not working, how they adapted. Yeah. For years, like one of the most common things I would hear players ask when I'd be in the box with them is, just tell me what's open. And I hated that question, because it's like, I can't tell you what they're going to run next time. I can tell you what they've done most of the time or in these situations, but that was part of the motivation, is like giving them the tools to know what they're up against every single point. And then we can have conversations about a lot more stuff, because it just always seemed like in matches where players go, I just need to know what's open. We already lost the match. And that's the mindset that the attackers are having. So up in the first ball side out percentage as a result of all those factors, I think.
This is fabulous. Thank you for diving deeper into that. I know it's every coach wants to protect his own treasures in the chest.
Not much about that kind of stuff.
Well, that's very sweet. Thank you. Thank you on behalf of everybody who is going to hear that, so they know what they can work on and focus on. Now, let me ask you, hey there, are you really serious about your D1 dreams? Playing beach volleyball in college? And does this whole recruiting process feels like a black box to you, where you don't really know what to do and what the coaches are looking for? Well, you're not the only one, but I may have a solution for you. But before we'll get to that, let me ask you, are you really serious about your dreams? Because if yes, then you need to step up and take ownership of your actions. And the best way to do it is get out and start researching information. Now, there's not much information about this whole process and what coaches are looking for, is there? Well, so for this exact reason, I created this library of conversations with D1 beach coaches, so you can learn and understand what are their green flags, what are their red flags, what are they looking for, who they really want on the team, who they really don't want on the team. And all this information will help you triangulate yourself and navigate this process with much more confidence and with success at the end. You can find me on YouTube or become a part of my community directly. You get way more information as a part of the community, but YouTube will do fine. So what you waiting for? Get in, I'll see you on the inside, and let's navigate the process with confidence. And if you need more help, just contact me, and I'll help you figure out how to make your dreams come true. All right? So let's go. How difficult is it for the girls to buy into this? There's been years that they've been really relying, as you just said, on their athletic side, but now they have to play it more strategically, more like a chess, right, if you will. How difficult is it, and how do the girls handle that?
Probably the biggest learning curve with everybody was just the effects that having a proper court check, the effects that had on their approach timing and their rhythm. And it was something that we practiced and like really drove home through the fall. It's going to get sloppy for a while before it gets better. But prioritize being right and knowing why you did something versus being wrong and not knowing why, but still getting the kill. I think it wasn't until probably the first all competition that a lot of them really clicked. And if they didn't click, it was more so like it got uncomfortable and they resorted back, but they understood the value that it was having because they felt how unsuccessful it was to go and blind. But it definitely was like 2 big steps back for a lot of people's just rhythm and confidence in attacking that we just didn't really give them a choice with. We kept having conversations and reassured them. And I think, if anything, we had a lot of one-on-one talks with players about what vision would look like for them, and not trying to pigeonhole them into exactly what we want. It's more just, can we look at the whole menu of what we're trying to accomplish here and rule out what stuff is ineffective for you, and really highlight the stuff that you could benefit from. I think when those conversations happened, some players really had more buy-in and success. I'll never forget, there was one practice where junior on our team, it clicked. She was going in hard, and she was making aggressive shots and chucking and still swinging after she looked at the court. And at the end of practice, it was one of those like, "Hey guys, coach is right" moments. I'll just laughed with her. I never looked, and this worked wonders, and I can't believe it's this easy when you see the court. So that was some validation, and I think motivated a few other people to jump on board.
That's fabulous. Thank you. And I think from this experience, I think it speaks volume of you, because you're able to give them this space and create this space, safe space, where they can try and push themselves and make mistakes without feeling like they are doing something wrong. What I mean, it just feels like you're really putting them in the right spot and creating the right environment for them to grow. And that sounds amazing. Really, I think coaches like that are a treasure for not only for girls as a player, but for their development as a person, where they can be themselves and just go into that with full on. So thank you for that. Now tell me about, let's take a step back. Let's do the 30,000 foot view and perspective on Boise beach volleyball team and Boise culture. And if you can blend it into the whole perspective and picture with the university and academics. So it's more like an introduction with your signature on it.
Yeah. A big reason I have stuck around so long, and that I think we found success, is we've always had a unique support from our administration and from the community. I've seen plenty of beach programs that I think are fighting an uphill battle with administrative support and with finding an identity in the community. Boise State is a college town, and that people love Boise State athletics. We have hundreds of people that come to beach tournaments here because they love the school and the athletic department. They don't have to be beach volleyball junkies necessarily. And that really resonated with me. I never felt like in recruiting conversations I had to spin anything about what we did. I think a lot of people throw bandages and try to misdirect recruits' attention, but the biggest issues that recruits have found is it's far away and there's some cold weather, and I've always viewed those as they're realities, but there are kids out there that want an experience in a college town and in nature and close to it. And I've always found that when we play in the spring, it's crappy weather everywhere, and it's been a big motivator for our girls that we've weathered a lot of adversity by the time we play in 40-degree rain in Texas or Louisiana or whatever it is. It's always made us, I think, a really feisty, gritty team, and people either like that or they don't, but I never have to misdirect them in this conversation. So it's been real easy to stay here and to tell recruits. It's all felt very natural and honest, and I think because of that, players usually come in and have a good sense of what they're getting themselves into. There's not a lot of buyer's remorse or regret, because I think they see and they can feel and they're excited and they come here and it matches that, both in terms of what we offer as a staff, but also the support and the infrastructure that the athletic department has. We get treated as equals with all the sports, and there's just not a lot of places where that's the case.
That's fabulous. That sounds like a really tight-knit community.
Yeah.
when it comes to academics and athletics. How's academics? How are you? How is your team? What's your take on that? I mean, you probably want your girls to graduate, right? But how big is it a focus?
It's a big priority for us. Beach volleyball is just kind of naturally got this high achieving, like, archetype of recruit that comes through the door. And we always want to make sure that they're graduating with the degree that they want and the timeline that they want. I actually went to school here for my sophomore year through when I graduated. And so I share a little bit of that experience, and that it was, I got a lot out of it because I put a lot into it. I majored in philosophy, which was a small department. And so I had 8 to 10 people in my classes, and I got to know my professors really well. And I think it has a lot to offer here in terms of the resources, if you're willing to make the investments and put yourself in those positions. And I think the beach volleyball archetype I was talking about, like, generally checks those boxes. So we have people, almost all of our team is taking a rigorous major and STEM, engineering. We've got a nursing major right now. And we've just always committed to being flexible with accommodating and practice times and meetings and all that. So last fall, we had a girl doing an MBA program, and her classes were Monday through Thursday during the practice block. So we just did 2 practices a day and had a smaller group with her in the mornings with 4 to 8 people. Some years we have kids that miss 2-3 practices a week, and we just always offer up time and availability from the staff to meet after the normal time or before the normal time, and make sure that they feel like they're a part of it and they're not getting left behind. And so, it's paid dividends. It spreads us thin sometimes, but so the buy-in and the support the student athletes feel, I think it's totally worth the investment we make.
That's fabulous. I mean, you don't hear that very often. Usually, yes, beach teams maintain a pretty high standards when it comes to grades. But when you put it and when you describe it, coming in or coming through the school with your own experience and then blended with the experience, what the girls can have and what can they expand into in terms of academics, it's really interesting. It puts the school, at least from my perspective, to a completely new spotlight. It's like, it almost feels like it would be an Ivy League feel when it comes to academics, plus added the sport of D1. And so it looks like you guys are building something really amazing there. Now, building that, tell me about the legacy. Tell me, what would you like the girls and the fans, alumni, to talk about in 5-10 years when you are running beach volleyball?
Something we've always preached is that we want players that leave the program better than the way they found it, and that we want players for 4 years. And I think that's kind of been the overarching mission statement for our program, and I hope is our legacy, is we're not going to be looking for short-term fixes. I said before, in the transfer portal, like, we bring kids in that we see a vision of 6 years down the road, and we pour into them for that whole time. And we want players and a culture and program that kind of mirrors that. I think what's really shown is everybody that's found themselves at the top of our lineup has worked themselves there from other spots. And so they empathize with the people that are fighting as freshmen or sophomores, whatever, through those battles and struggles. And there's been very little animosity about depth with that regard. There hasn't been any easy outs for people. And I think that's what I want it to be. I think marginally we're going to get slightly better people in the door each year. We can develop further. But what I want the program to be 5-10 years from now is a group of people that came in as freshmen and left as seniors and had a long-term vision that they saw through for themselves and for the program. Something we brag about with recruits is we've had 3 players transfer out in the 10 years I've been here. And retention is really hard in this day and age for college athletics. So if people want to come and have a true college experience and reap what they sow, this is the spot.
That's amazing. That sounds really fabulous. A strong foundation for a person that wants to achieve their own greatness in whatever way that may be. That sounds like it. Just a solid piece with an amazing coach. So if you can sum it up, what would be the culture pieces or the core values of your team when you're looking at it, or when you're talking with your players? What would be those things that, okay, these are our building blocks and we're not moving away from them?
Yeah, we let the girls this year finally like brand that stuff. So we have our 4 hooves, not pillars. They're like horseshoes. And I got them up on my wall. The first one is seek discomfort. They have to be willing to put themselves in uncomfortable situations and believe in the value of that in the long term. Some of these might not make a lot of sense because we gave them some creative liberties, but 2-factor authentication is about making sure that you are checking in with yourself and you're checking in with other people. The girls have always prioritized connectedness throughout the team. I've never believed in seniority meaning anything in terms of voices or roles or leadership. I think you get experience, but I think everybody brings something to the table. And so, yeah, that's been a big part of it, is the seniors look to the freshmen for stuff. The freshmen look to the seniors for stuff, but they also all try really hard to look internally and make sure that their own cups are being filled. This year, we started shifting the lens a little bit. They always wanted to be underdogs. It was kind of how they wanted to approach games, but we're reaching this critical point as a program where we want to feel like we belong. And so they changed it. It was underdog, and then it was overdog mentality, and then they changed dog to horse because we're the Broncos. So we have Workhorse Mentality. We still want to be going 110% every day, but understand that there's a little bit of that chip and that edge that we still want to play with. The last piece that's been a big part of our culture for years is they called it stay yapping, but it kind of pertains to the peripheral and support staff around the department and other teams. We try to be every strength coach, academic advisor, every administrator's favorite team. So stopping them in the hallways, putting themselves out there for community service opportunities, mental health initiatives. Like, we're always trying to be the first team to sign up for stuff and last people to leave. And that's been something that I think we've looked really hard in the recruiting process to identify as people that want to see themselves in that kind of environment and not be too isolated or maybe selfish in their approach to their athletics.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. It's always exciting to look under the hood and into the treasure chest, into the headquarters room, and hear it, put it like that, how the girls actually put it together. That's amazing. Thank you for letting people hear that and know that. Does it come across partially or fully across the board of all Boise athletics? Would you say is it oriented community, tight knit, and going all in, or how is it?
Yeah, I think that's how the department and a lot of teams brand themselves, kind of in different ways, maybe different ways of expressing it. But they talk about blue collar a lot. The high school football team that's found a lot of success, the coaches openly talks about how he wants high school recruits. He doesn't want NIL deals. If you're coming here for NIL, we're going to want you. And a lot of that stuff, I think, kind of bleeds through the department and other programs. Is I think we embrace our opportunities and we outperform our means in a lot of ways. And I think it's because of engaging the community, having strong connections, and just committing to outworking. So the mission statement of our program that kind of overarches all this is, we call it empowered learning. So that we let our girls kind of create all of these pillars or hooves for our team and express them how they wanted to is one element of trying to put a lot of the power in the players' hands. And that's just what ultimate accountability looks like, is letting them really be in the driver's seat and being the wind in their sail and helping them nudge and kind of make small adjustments as it goes.
Right. That's wonderful. So now when you start to talk about it, you've been assisting for 6 years, right? And then now you transfer to head coach. So how did it change, or how is it changing? And I know you said it's changing because you guys changed conference, and so you are looking for more advanced players, let's say. But the whole process, as you've been part of it, now if you can dive into, or if we can dive into that, when do you start, or now when it's in your reins, when will you start looking for the girls? Are you building a relationship when they are young and see if they are really headed towards Boise, or what's going to be your approach? When would you start? And into the technical details we'll dive a little deeper, but again, let's start from a higher overview and then go into detail.
For recruiting primarily,
For recruiting, yeah.
it took us a while to, I'd say, like catch up to the normal recruiting timeline.
Mhm.
The 22 class that are now seniors, almost all of them were recruited as seniors. And then sort of in between the 23 and 24 class was when we got caught up with, I'd say, the top teams, and we were making offers and having interest starting June 15th. It took a lot of time to get to that point. I think a lot of programs at that next level down are playing catch up and seeing what's left. But I think we've been able to be proactive with it. So a lot of my time kind of from now until June is spent building our list for recruits that we'll be contacting the next year, or so sophomores, soon to be juniors, or just jotting down some names to keep tabs on for freshmen that are soon to be sophomores. I think there's a lot of late bloomers in beach and a lot of people that are late to the game in general. So we don't try to put all our eggs into that basket of those initial June 15th recruits, but we at least like to have a pretty good starting point of our needs and which players we feel like are matching them. And I'd say it starts with general talent assessment, and then a lot of the fine tuning we do with our recruiting, like an identification, is just honing in on the individual and the personality and who we think is going to be the best fit. I really don't like recruiting players if I don't know what their family is like. That's sometimes tough to do just through clinics and through watching them in tournaments and stuff. I'll sit behind families, behind players' boxes with headphones on and pretend I'm listening to stuff, but I'm actually just listening to how they talk to their parents after games. And yeah, we'll get 50 people, but who treats their coach well, who treats their refs well, who treats their parents well, who treats their partners well. Slowly kind of thin out a list from that, and then try to find some more specific touch points with those players. Can we go watch practice? Can we go to a clinic with their club, and make sure that we're really set on them? I'd say that usually accounts for maybe a third to half the recruits now that we get to verbally commit and sign. And the rest, we're usually still working through those during summer evaluations of their rising junior year, or fall through ongoing conversations or visits and all that. But yeah, I think you take a risk either way. By waiting too long to act on players, which I've done because I'm not certain about their personality, you miss out on some good talent.
Right.
But if you pull the trigger too early on talent, sometimes you take a risk on the personality, right? So it's, no matter how you slice it, you're gonna take some misses. And I just have firmly believed that we need to have good people above all else in our program. I'm willing to risk the missed opportunity for some of the talent in order to find the right person. I think one bad apple can ruin a lot of a recruiting class and can ruin a lot of a program when they get there. And so I weigh that personally higher than the other pieces.
That says a lot. It also goes together to what you said earlier, that not many people transfer out because it's just a decision they make, and they are conscious and intentional about the decision. And so how is that process? How does it look for you? So you have would you put percentage on how many people you go for, or how many recruits you go for on the contact date versus what is the percentage that you then wait for it for a little later?
Yeah. We'll usually be speaking with 30 kids those first day or two between all of us coaches. I I don't believe in putting harsh deadlines on offers. What we're probably going to shift to is when they're ready to hear an offer that we have prepared, they can let us know. And at that point, there might be a timeline on it. We might start doing that to maintain some sort of competitive advantage. But up until now, yeah, we'll have communication with maybe 20 or 30 people and then never offering the same money to multiple people. A lot of, I personally, I just think is like manipulative tactics in recruiting that I ethically could never take part in. For as big of a decision as it is, I think it's wrong to tell somebody that they have 24 hours. I think it's wrong to offer 10 people the same money and then tell them it's first come, first serve, put them in that position. It's our job and it's our career on the line, yes, in terms of the talent, but they're 15 to 16-year-old people making a decision that you said is for more than just college, it's for their life. And I am okay never winning a national title if I can maintain my ethical standards. If I'm second place at the end of my career, but I haven't compromised that, I'm content. That's kind of where I stand with the bullish recruiting. It's paid off so far, and I think there's still a place for ethical relationship based recruiting, and until I know what that ceiling is like, I don't see any reason to compromise.
Did you like this conversation? It was pretty good, wasn't it? I have more for you. I have conversations with D1 coaches, experts, and all the tools and guides and whatever you can think of to succeed on your D1 journey and fulfill your D1 dreams. So, what you waiting for? Jump right in, and I'll see you on the inside. And if you need more help, just contact me, and I'll help you make your dreams come true. All right? Until later.